What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another live stream, episode number 133. Yes, that's 133 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. And as always, I thank you for taking the time and hanging out here with me. If it's your first time here, my name's Lewis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear, and please be sure to introduce yourself in the chat or within a comment so that you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And with that being said, let's go right off and see who's here in the chat and say what's up to the crew. All right, we have my favorite tech saying hello. All right, let's fix this size here so that we can all see what's going on here. A little bit of adjustment. That looks good. All right, there we go. And let's go over that again. All right, saying hello, Mr. Camera Junkie. Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday and hope you have an awesome Father's Day as well. And yes, he brought it up right on the top. And yes, will be Father's Day tomorrow, Sunday the 18th. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers and all the children of fathers. Yep, just another holiday. It was a funny joke from a comedian. I can't remember who was it off the top of my head, but he started ranking all the holidays, and it's funny that Father's Day falls like 32nd or something of everyone's favorite holiday. So it's pretty funny that it doesn't get the recognition up there, seeming that Mother's Day is the second favorite holiday right behind Christmas. So but we march on. Says he says he will eventually get there. I'm guessing he's saying as a father. Why did this change the size? Let's save that there. And let's lock that in. All right. Randy saying the same thing. Happy Father's Day. Like I said, all fathers and all fathers to be, right? There we go. Paul's also here in the house saying what's up to the fam. G. Albert sneaking in saying hello, group. Hello, all is well. Says hope all is well. How was the event last week? The event? So much has happened in a week. I can't even recall what you're referencing. So you might want to let me know. And that's just, on a personal level. Tell you guys, and be completely upfront. One hell of a week. One hell of a day today in particular, and tomorrow is just another one as well, because when life comes and hits you and smacks you in the face, it doesn't care about holidays, birthdays, or it doesn't follow any calendar. Things happen, and that's life. We roll with the punches, and like I always tell you guys, I appreciate you all because you guys make this my favorite part of the week. And even for me, it's a bit of like a therapy having the Camera Junkie crew here to hang out with and kind of be able to do this without having to worry about anything else, you know? And I take a lot of value in that. So as always, thank you for being you. Sarkeezy is in the house saying hello, fam. Paul saying hi. Sly's listening in while she's driving. Once again, Richard is saying happy Father's Day to me. Thank you, thank you. So funny, right? Like this little guy, he's everything to me. So I do take pride in being a father and being Aiden's guardian angel. When people say like, are you his guardian? In my case, it's absolutely, because I do everything for that boy. And yesterday, Grandpa, my father, was also able to stop by, and I will be seeing him tomorrow, but he was able to stop by yesterday, and we were able to give Aiden a joint haircut. So he's looking all sharp and dapper, ready for tomorrow. So really cool. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Boom, boom. Randy says, I always enjoyed Father's Day because dads always took us out to dinner and a movie. See, that's cool. Gretchen is in here saying hello. That's a really nice story, seeming that with Father's Day. I would have to say that Father's Day in my family household is probably like still not the biggest holiday. Most of the time we always spent it in church while I was growing up, so it was kind of like a communal Father's Day event type thing that we would always have at church. Everybody's saying hi. Sly says, I think you roll better than most. Keep your chin up. You got this. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's what I say. Like, I'm going to go ahead and speak in behalf of everyone, and I hope that you feel me on this, is that we all have negative things and things that we can't control, things that are completely out of our control that end up falling into the negative type of spectrum in our lives. And if it's one thing, is that I, on top of not dwelling on it, right? Because of course we can't control those things, but at the same time, just to kind of reference again and reiterate, like, I don't dwell on it, right? You roll with the punches, you do what you have to do, and there's no reason to come here and take our time, the Camera Junkie crew, the Camera Junkie live stream, and everything that's like the positive aspect and the things that I look forward to at the end of the week, and like degrade them with the things that happen during the week. And that's why, if it may seem like I'm always up and up when I'm doing my live stream, it's not because I don't have my own struggles. It's because this is the fun part of the week, and because I am dealing with struggles just like everyone else, it gives me the ability to smile and enjoy the fun times, especially doing the things that I love doing. So that's why I want you all to understand that even though we all go through tough times, like I do myself, the smile that I have here week in and week out is absolutely genuine, because there's no other place that I'd rather be than right here. Randy, I guess, is agreeing with Sly's comment. Happy Father's Day. Aiden is one lucky little boy. I think I'm the lucky one. Like, okay, for example, here's something that happened today. And these are things that I guess just because I have such an overabundant love for my boy that I notice these little things. So, um, it was today was a day that I could have taken the opportunity to do some work on my car, right? And for some of you that know, that I also have a car channel that I document the things that I'm doing with the vehicle. Now, it's not so much about the channel at all, what I'm going to mention, because I already have plenty of documented videos or events, right? Documented events with the vehicle that I'm behind on my edits, because life happens and there's things that need to be taken care of. So it's not so much about that, but whenever I do have a chance, right, and I do want to do something else that I enjoy, like wrenching on my car, because that's also things that allow me to kind of escape the toughness of life and just work on something that also is something that I love doing, right? Fixing things. So with that, I would have loved to take today and put some work in on the car, but it was raining like crazy here in South Florida. And it just rains so sporadically. So it could be that, like, I see sunny skies and I'm setting everything up and I'm pulling out a tripod and I'm doing everything to document what I'm doing. And then by the time that I'm actually ready to get started, the entire climate has changed and I'm brushing all my cameras indoors just so that they don't get wet. So that's basically what happened today. So I decided to make a clip, a video clip, right? Of that's what I'm saying. Of just like lightning striking outside my window, right? So I get over here into like Aiden's area and I go to the window and I do the recording, right? And the recording's on my phone, right? And I'm just showing some lightning strike and that's it. And I put it out on that channel as a short, basically just showing like the weather and saying whenever I want to work on the car, nature says otherwise. And while I'm doing that recording, Aiden is over here playing with his toys and doing his musical thing, right? And he's like DJing and remixing his little music groove on his little boombox. And you wouldn't think the wiser, but that sound came out in that video. And because Aiden's a part of my life, I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to like, re-record audio or anything like that. And I left it in the video. Right. And as I'm checking it out and I'm looking at it as I'm uploading it and I'm writing the text on that video, Aiden could hear the audio replaying over and over again, and he hears his little like music little thing that got thrown in there, right? And he's laughing because he recognizes that his music is in my video. And I guess most people wouldn't even recognize that, but I guess I'm paying attention to him so much that I'm like actually, testing it out, and I would mute the audio and it would just be like nothing. But if I were to play the video and he just hears the audio, he starts cracking up because he's like, oh yeah, I got it in on that. And I'm like, you're such a little punk. Like, you know what you're doing, you know? And those are the things that I absolutely love about being a father to this little guy right here, and noticing these little nuances that I guess I'm all here for, because I absolutely love my boy. He is my everything, and I notice even the most subtle nuances, and I guess that's what I'm here to do. So I love him. He doesn't know what Father's Day is, but he's the reason why it's now my favorite holiday. Sorry. Sorry, Peter. It beats out Christmas even for me, because it's Father's Day every day. So, all right, Michael's in the house. Says finally a night off. Then that means you must be killing it. Nice to see you, sir. Okay, Gretchen says on Father's Day, my dad always took us water skiing. You see, that's so cool, because I guess as a father, the children is what makes you that. So I'm loving to hear the stories of all of you telling me how your father took you out on that day, because the one thing that he wanted to do was just be a dad. So that's really cool. G. Albert says, Gwen and I spent 2 fun weeks in Ottawa with our 2 grandsons. Just came back to Ohio this week. Nice time. See, that's super cool. Aiden's going to want contributor edit credit. Absolutely. He gets it all the time. Hey, what's up, Sammy? How are you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Today, it's a little bit of just off the cuff because of everything that's been going on with me. Like I was mentioning before, really didn't have time today to put anything together, and it was also like a really slow week. There was nothing that really popped off or anything that I could really talk about, but I could be wrong. So if there's something that just came out that I'm not aware of, and the cool thing is that I have my computer here, so I can look anything up right now. But it was just a bunch of like information about lenses that are coming out. I believe Sony is potentially coming out with an 18mm f1.4, which kind of got me scratching my head right now of like, who that lens is for, but it depends on exactly how they make it and what will be the price point. But a 1.4 is G Master ish, 18 millimeters. So is that an astro lens? How big is it going to be? So on and so forth. Because their 20 millimeters is pretty good. The same, like aperture. So there's a lot of things that, like I said, were just kind of like not too big of a news. Sony did come out with a new camera, but it was a new PTZ camera, which is a pan tilt zoom, nothing kind of for the consumer market. But there's also rumors that Sony is to announce like 4 more cameras within this year, which is a lot. And that's just Sony. We're not talking about the Nikon Z8, which, according to Chelsea and Tony Northrup's latest video, is the camera to get to move everyone away from the D850, which is very interesting because the D850 from Nikon is actually considered to be like the pinnacle of DSLR, right? Of that type of model. And there's still a lot of photographers who are using that camera still because it is the best of the best for that type of, like genre, right? So if you're someone who's like, no, forget mirrorless, I'm going to stick with my DSLR, that was like the bee's knees of digital cameras, especially for Nikon shooters. So, excuse me. So the Z8 apparently is the one that's going to get everyone to move over, and it's the closest thing in the mirrorless field to the D850 as far as the DSLR goes. Wouldn't know too much about that, and that's just like skimming it over the surface, over the information that Tony and Chelsea Northrup have put out there. So that's nothing from myself, and I haven't really looked into it, but that's what I'm saying. Just some new cameras here and there. Yeah, and then of course, I think it's Panasonic's latest camera. Also, Peter Gregg has that camera as well. He's been putting out some information. Been hard to keep up this week. And shout out to Peter, because on top of doing his live stream on Friday, I've seen that he's been doing a couple during the week and just informing everyone on a couple of issues that he's been having with that new Panasonic camera, I think, in functionality. And once again, haven't really been able to research a lot into pretty much anything this week. And that's why we're just hanging out. But please be sure that if you have any questions, just drop them in there. Put a Q colon in front of it and drop a like if you haven't done so already, if you're just hanging out. Because today, I'm exhausted. To give you another thing, like, I just realized before I went onto the live stream, I'm like, not feeling 100%. Why is that, right? And it could be because I don't think I've eaten today. Like, I haven't had like a real meal. I had a snack earlier. I started the day with a coffee, a snack, and that's it, because I've just been wound up and everything, and mostly taking care of Aiden. So as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna go get something to eat because I'm starving. All right. My kids are 30 and 33, and they still want to come over for Father's Day. See, that's so cool. And that's what we're gonna be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I do have plans with the family. There's other things, like I said, that I have to take care of tomorrow as well. But I will be going to my sister's house, having dinner and spending time with the family there. And my father's going to be there as well. So we're just all meeting up there. It's about an hour drive from where I live. So that's also part of the, the plan, where it's like I have to schedule in 2 hours of travel time for the hour that it takes me to get to my sister's house, the hangout time, and then the hour back. So we'll see. Randall says, since I'm a Nikon user, rather than I have the ZF, unless, okay, hold on. Instead of the Z8, I guess this is what he's talking about. Since he's a Nikon or Nikon shooter user, I'd rather have the ZF unless there's a 30-minute record time limit. But I'm interested in the Sony A7C Mark II. I've heard about this as well, but then that's also apparently, like one of the new cameras that is supposed to be announced. So the A7C Mark II really has me scratching my head, but then it kind of doesn't. Now, let me explain what I'm going to say, because that is a camera that kind of like could fall into getting a successor just due to how long the A7C has been available on the market without having a refresh. The other one that has already been rumored, which I talked about before, is the successor to the A6600, which apparently is going to be the A6700. Now, that was talked about even before they announced the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. And not even touching the ZV line, just going back to the APS-C and the A7C, the successor to the to the A6600 in the APS-C line apparently has the same body style as the A7C. So think of the A7C, but APS-C with all the bells and whistles of the new cameras that Sony's coming out with. So that's definitely the bigger battery, things like that. So that is going to be the flagship in APS-C, which is that smaller sensor size. So I do see them having the ability to refresh that camera, but it really depends on what's also coming down the road. Meaning, is there going to be a successor to the A9 this year, right? Or the A9 II? Or is that line completely gone and they're just going to have the successor to the Alpha 1? So it'll be the Sony Alpha 1 Mark II. And are all of these cameras that we're waiting for, the 4 remaining, even going to be for like the hybrid user? Because Sony also dabbles quite a lot in cinema. And like I said, their latest release, one of the 5 that was supposed to be announced, one down, is that PTZ camera that was just announced last week. Forgot the name of it. So there's still a lot of questions. And I spoke to Randy. Well, he sent me a message this week about the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Now, he got his hands on it and he's pleasantly surprised with all the functions and features of that camera. So I'm looking forward to getting some more information from him about exactly how it's being used and the overheating, if any, on that camera, which I don't see why there should be, especially if some of those things were taken out. And I could also attest to my Sony ZV-1F that I have here as my overhead cam. Boom. That I haven't had any overheating issues whatsoever. That was a bit choppy. I have to call it out. Now I'm using a USB cable that's like 6 feet long and was not the best and is old. So I might have to change that cable to avoid this. But overheating was what I was talking about, not the choppiness factor. And I have yet to get it to overheat at all whatsoever. So I haven't had an issue there. Okay, Jose Arroyo. Hello, fam. I have a Sony A6400. Should I be thinking about getting a different camera? For my honest opinion, depending on what you're doing, but most likely not. Like Doc Rock was just mentioning that he has an A6600. The A6400 came out just before that. The only thing that I would say, if you know, that you might not have on the A6400 is IBIS, which is the in-body image stabilization, as Sony calls it, the steady shot. But that's a great camera. That one came out in 2019, I believe. If I remember correctly, 2019 was with the A6400. 2020, or maybe even later in 2019, was when they released the A6100 and the A6600, which were the replacements to all of the models previous to that, being the 6000, the 63, and the 6500. So, with those numbers in place like that, the A6400, the only thing that that camera does not have is the much bigger battery of the Z type for the A6600 and IBIS, which is in body image stabilization. But the fact that it doesn't have the IBIS being the image stabilization, it uses a lot less battery. So the battery is not so much a hindrance in this case. And to be completely honest, that's one of their newer chipsets, including the A6100, which are dramatically better in battery life and just regular use, whether it's video or photography. But if you want to give me a little bit more information about your or the way that you use your A6400, what it is that your primary use for it is, I can give you my opinion on if it's like you don't need another camera, or there could be a benefit to something that you're not doing yet that you want to be doing in the future. What's up, D? He's in the house saying, took Diana's advice and sold my A6600 to MVP this week. Nice. Got $820. If when the next APS-C drops, then the value will go down. That's very true. Like if you already know that that's a camera that you're going to be moving on from, right? Like, or upgrading to something else, then you're going to want to sell it as soon as possible if you have that means, right? Like, for example, I have this camera and then also this camera, and they are the same exact camera. So I already have it in mind that I'm like, I should be upgrading to my next camera and replacing one of these, right? Even though they're perfectly fine, and I love my A6100s, hashtag team flip up, right? Love the flip up screens. But that's why I'm really looking into the A6600, because even though there's newer cameras that are coming out with a lot of new features, I can probably get an A6600. You see, well under $1,000 if I'm get it for the right price, right? D just sold his for 820, so if I can find it around that or less on the used market, then I'm getting a good deal for a camera that I know that is not only great today, will be great for years to come. And then I have the ability to like sell my A6100. So what I should be doing, honestly, is selling my A6100 right now so that I have those funds and not wait for another camera to come out to devalue my A6100 even more. So sell it as much as I can and get as much as I can for it right now. That will allow me to make the purchase of my next camera even that much easier. So that's what I should be doing, right? Especially when I have two of the same exact one. I should be looking to upgrade one already, knowing that I have the same exact quality right here no matter what. So this one right here might be on the chopping block. All right. Randy says, I have a terabyte SD card, no overheating, no time recording, and loving it. See? And he's referencing to the ZV-1 Mark II, which has a couple of subtle changes. A lot of them have to do with that, like AI type of autofocusing features that the newer cameras are coming out with, and the fact that it has a wider field of view. It's a 18 to 50 millimeter roughly, compared to the previous model, which was a 24 to 70. Okay, Michael says, I have found better I found the better the camera, the more you discover on how old your computer is when editing. Yo, truer words cannot be spoken because it's like that saying, pressure bust pipes, right? Because when you fix one thing, then it's going to just lead you to the next thing that needs to be fixed, right? Especially when you're talking about pipe work, because the pressure is going to build up and it's going to leak out through the, like softest point. And the thing is that you'll discover that you have a leak on this end of a pipe, right? And you're like, the rest of the pipe was good. This is where the leak is because that was the weakest point. And when you reinforce that, the pressure that made that the weakest point is now going to find the next weakest point, which probably was a leak that didn't even exist, but exists now because you reinforced the previous weakest point. And now it's just going to show you where the next one is. And that's when it could just continue to escalate like that. So that's what happens when you buy the latest and greatest gear and you don't have the adequate computing power behind it to, compensate for your new editing workflow. And that, like I said, no truer words have ever been spoken, because whenever you get a new camera with all the bells and whistles and you get that new codec and you're shooting in raw and stuff like that, and you got these huge files and your computer tries to ingest them and it just goes, what are you doing here? And it cannot handle either the file format, the type, or just the general size. And when you try to edit those files, your programs that are not really capable to handling the new stuff are gonna lag out, and they're just gonna like be chugging along doing their best. So it's something that I've spoken about here before on this live stream, which is, make sure that you upgrade your computer before your gear as well, because you need to have that workflow capable. And that's what I was talking about then was 8K, and everyone talking about 8K cameras, and now it's almost a thing like, if the camera's not shooting 8K, why are you even gonna buy it? I'm like, do you even edit in 8K? Is your computer ready for 8K? Because I have one of the newer computers, and I know it can push 8K, and I'm still not in an 8K workflow, right? So with that being said, make sure that you upgrade your cameras according to your gear, or make sure that you keep in mind to upgrade your computer along with your new camera. Okay, so Randy's also giving me some more information, which is absolutely correct. He's saying the A6400 has a flash with no IBIS, but still a great camera. And yeah, the A6600 is leaning more towards like that full-on professional camera, and I do remember that it does not have a flash built in. It does have the hot shoe and for external flash, but it does not have the flash built in, and it has the IBIS, but also carries the bigger battery because of all the extra juice that the IBIS is going to need. Randy says, I don't know about selling the A6100. I still love mine. I still love mine too, but I have two. So now that's what I'm really thinking is like, a sentimental value, but then at the same time, I'm going to buy a new camera and have an A6100 and another one literally like just sitting there on one of those shelves just like that, like one of my older cameras. And it's too good of a camera to, well, we'll see exactly how we do it, because it depends. I got a really good deal on my cameras too, right? So I can probably sell them right now for more than what I paid for them, but then at the same time, I probably won't be able to get a deal like that on these cameras again. Meaning, if I wanted to try something completely different and do a completely like car setup, right? Like my mobile setup is set up with the ZV-1F, but have another camera for something else. Like a completely different setup. It's not bad, but I also don't like seeing cameras kind of just like not being used, right? Especially when they're still on the newer side of the spectrum, and a lot of people can use them, like A6100. What sold me on the A6100, which was like the big move for me, was me going from 1080 to 4K, because back then was, oh, actually no, because I already had 4K, and that's just me correcting, but having 4K in APS-C. And that was the decision that I made, because I was looking at either, at that time, because of the budget, I was looking at the A6400, the A6400, not the A6100, because it had all the extra log files and everything that I wanted to start messing around with within it. And it was built into the same like A6100 family line, team flip up, the whole nine. And with that, I decided to purchase my A7R2, which is right up there, which is my full frame camera. And that one, when you put it into the 4K, it turns into that APS-C A6600 with, you know, like the IBIS, and it has all the log files. So everything that I wanted to mess around with as far as codecs goes, I got it in that camera. And I was able to then also upgrade my photography to a 42.2 megapixel. So that's what I was using. And that was, and still is, my first 4K camera. But the one thing that I wasn't getting out of my A6000 back then was the 4K. And I also got a hell of a deal. Yeah, my first one basically came out to, well, in exchange, and I've said this before, in exchange of the A6000 that I sold, in place of it, I basically turned around and upgraded from the 6000 to the 6100 for $20. Can't beat that. So let's see back here. File size at 8K is huge, and I don't want to play with 8K, and I don't have an 8K TV. Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like, if you don't have the actual medium to see that file, you're never going to get that resolution. So right now, I should be broadcasting in 4K. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, okay, so I'm broadcasting in 4K. But this is the whole thing. Even though I'm broadcasting in 4K, and you could be watching this in 4K, if you're on your phone, right, most likely your phone does not have 4K capability. And if you're on a monitor that doesn't have 4K, right, you're not going to see 4K. And the way that you can find this out is by going onto the live stream and right clicking on the actual picture. So like on my face, you would right click it and you would go to the bottom one that says stats for nerds, right? And when you open that up, you'll get a window that shows you your actual resolution, the frame rates, and everything that's going on within your computer and monitor. And it will tell you, like, even if you're on big screen, so that even if it says 4K at the bottom, you are getting an upscale in resolution because of the file size itself that you're broadcasting. But you can't help to fight the actual like limits of your, you know, like your viewport frames. So even though you're ingesting 4K, your monitor can only output the resolution that it's built to. So hopefully that brings some clarity. But I do see a difference when I change the scale on my videos, even if it's on a 1080 monitor, right? When I change it from 1080 to 4K, there's an increase in quality because of the upscaling of the content and the file size itself, right? But then even though it's got the highest quality in that aspect, it's still being shrunk down to whatever size your device is showing. So that's it. All right, let's get back to it here. Randy says, but Lewis, I'm a hoarder. um uh let me just say that, right? Let me just say that it's hard for me to get rid of cameras. So whenever I'm like gun ho on actually moving forward with one, I think I need to take advantage of that energies, right? I have two. so I can still get rid of one and still have my original A6100. And FYI, they have names, you know, they have individual names, so I know which one's which, and I know which one's like the OG and which one is not. I kind of just gave it away right there, right? Like which one is and which one's not, right? Which one's not. So all right, it says I'm agree for the nostalgia factor. I have the A5000, which started my YouTube channel, which I can't get rid of. Says I hacked into do clean HDMI. That's cool. I didn't know that. It says I hacked into it to do clean HDMI. I used it the other day on my Ninja V to record a video. That is super cool. I'm gonna have to talk to you about that because I didn't know that you could hack those up for clean HDMI. So I would love to know like how you did it. I'd love to pick your brain on that. How you doing, Peter? Saying yep, 4K, and hello to you, Lewis. Thank you. How are you doing, Peter? Like I was just mentioning that I saw that you were doing a lot of information on the Panasonic that you have. So it's been one hell of a week, but I'm glad that you're sharing with us the information and some of the struggles that you're dealing with the camera. It's really informative. It says I'm watching you at 2160p on my iPhone. See? And that's actually like your width, which should be your height. But I digress. Sly says, "Don't feel bad, Randy. You collect cameras. I collect bags. We all have our things, right?" That's the whole thing. Like, I'm always talking about guys upgrade your skills before your gear, right? And that's just the mindset that I want you guys to be in, right? There's always a perfect place to buy the gear, right? Because once you have upgraded your skills, like I got to that point, for example, where I wanted to take that step and I had the everything else in place, including computer, to jump from 1080 to 4K, and that's why I wanted to take that step. But I already had adequate skills doing everything else that I was already doing in 1080, that was just another jump. Now, color grading, log videos, and all that stuff, that's the stuff that I'm trying to learn now. And I'm being honest, trying, because there's really no need for it at my current like production level. And that has to do with this amazing program that I'm using to broadcast. So one of the reasons why I can broadcast so easily in 4K, bring comments onto the screen, is because of Ecamm. And Ecamm gives me the ability to do a lot with YouTube and live streams, things like that. So when it comes to the resolutions and everything that we do, and like upgrading our skills and our gear, I always emphasize on that aspect, on being creative first. But I also love the gear, right? So whether it's camera bags, which I have quite a few, and maybe not as many as Sly, but more than what I need, because I have some there that I'm just like, I would like to give this away to somebody, but I don't want to throw it away, right? Like I'm not trying to do anything, but it's just like, so sit there, and because I know it's good and it has value, I will hold on to it to later be determined. But that's my hoarding situation. So that, and that I love cameras and all the types. Like the the newest camera that I got is not really a camera, but it's a camera. So I'm gonna share it with y'all. This guy right here. What? Wireless 1080p boroscope. Now, this is a $26 camera. Um, and as you can see, it's very tiny. It is a microscopic pinhole because, like I mentioned before, stuff that I need to do to work on the vehicle. So this is a camera that's going to allow me to basically, when I go to do my spark plug change, to throw that camera all the way in there. And one of the coolest parts is that it has a light. So when it goes into those very, very dark places, it has its own light source to be able to capture it. And I just send a wireless signal, which is being recorded on my phone, allowing me to better diagnose the stuff that's going inside and see how much carbon buildup and things like that I have in the car. So what I'm having a lot of fun with, besides boroscope cameras, and I'm just gonna share with you, is the amount of automotive um care or maintenance products that are available through Amazon at pennies on the dollar. So for example, like, come 20 years ago, do you know how much a boroscope to look inside the deepest parts of your like engine would cost? It's crazy, it's nuts. And now, not only was this like $26, but it was at my doorstep from Amazon the next day. So this is like readily available on a shelf over here. um and that's just like the tip of the iceberg on all the things that I am like stunningly, amazingly finding on Amazon. So, eBay motors is a thing and I understand them, but the return process with Amazon, or better said with eBay, has always been a hassle, and with Amazon has always been better. Like, it's super easy, which is why I prefer it. And take it for what it is, but that's what I prefer, and someone that maximizes the most of what they do with their time. I like the fact that I can order something through Amazon. It gets here a lot faster. And just in case it's not the correct item, I don't have a problem with returning it, because I only need to make one trip to my local Kohl's store here, which is, there's a couple of centers, but the closest one is a Kohl's store where I go with Aiden. I walk up 9 times out of 10. There's like no line whatsoever. I just show up, show them the phone, scanning, what is it, the QR code on my phone for the return, and they take the item, and within hours I already am refunded, ready to use those funds for whatever else I'm going to purchase next on Amazon. So that's that, and that's why I'm just sharing that with you, because like I have a list, and the reason why I made the video of like the sad rainy day is because I have so many things for the car. I have new rotors, new brake pad, like I said, spark plugs, new coil packs for the spark plugs. What else I got over here? Oh yeah, something that I never thought I was even gonna get, which I'll let you guys know. I lowered my vehicle, so with it being lower just a bit, certain curbs and certain bumps, I am getting a little bit of rubbing on the tires. So I got an entire machine to roll my fenders, right? And it's just to kind of like take that metal lip and roll it to the inside, so you're not breaking anything, but also just giving that tire that extra room for the bounce, so that it doesn't rub on the inside of the wheel well. Like $40 for the entire machine, the arm with the whole thing and the rolling thing, so that I can just do it myself. I was like, that is such a no-brainer, like, type of piece of equipment or tool, because it's something that could be used over and over again for multiple vehicles, and it's under $50. So it's just nuts. But that's stuff to come on my other channel. I'm working on my mobile setup, but I haven't really been able to get out of the house as far as the mobile setup goes. And that's about it. Yeah, like I said, there's been just One hell of a week, but you guys are always like, this is always the best. I can't believe it's already been close to an hour. Just been rambling on about everything. Let's go back to the chat. Okay, Michael says, I still use my Canon G20 camcorder and it's listed on Canon's museum page and it still works great. That is awesome, isn't it? Like, I'm like half a mind because everything I get these ideas, right? But it's the execution part of it. But let's not even get in there. Going back to it, that camera right there, bam. That is the Nikon D5100. 1080p, does have a 2959, rating on it for the video aspect. But pleasantly surprised with the autofocusing on it because it has face tracking on such an older camera, has a front facing flip or flippy LCD that comes off to the side. And the one like negative is that has even worse battery life than any Sony camera that I've ever owned, like within the last 10 to 15 years. Right? And I'm talking about even this one, the NEX6, going way back. That one has better battery life than the D5100, right? Because the D5100 will have a great battery life as a DSLR camera. But for you to start shooting video, you have to put it into video mode, which blocks out the DSLR aspect and basically makes that camera a mirrorless camera using the digital LCD in the back as your viewfinder. And that's what allows you to see the face tracking, do the flippy screen, the whole thing. Like that, it can tell you, hey, the camera will only give you 2959 to record, but the battery is only going to give you about 15 minutes on that camera. So for that camera to be at its best, definitely going to need a dummy battery for it. And I think like that, it's a viable camera that you can work with its limitations. And that's being truly honest. Like, doesn't have clean HDMI, but if you're an outdoor person recording video, carry a lot of batteries, or that would be the thing, because the batteries themselves only give you about 15 minutes, or get a, what are they called? The battery grip extensions that allow you to put two batteries, which in all sincerity, probably only give you about a half an hour, but possibilities, absolutely. And that's such a good example of it, saying that the G20 camcorder is on the museum page, like historical events of cameras. That's so cool. Says you can do surgeries with that camera. Oh, I guess he's talking about this one. I didn't think about that, because that's probably exactly like one of the first cameras that they were using for some types of surgeries, because that's also, I would say that would be the same type of camera. Like, you can use that for anything. Like, let's say you want to see what's like stuck in your drain and anything. These are waterproof. And this one, I picked this one because at least it was 1080. There's some that are slightly cheaper, but gives a much lesser resolution, like a 480 by 600. Do not recommend. You're not really going to be able to see much out of that anyway because of that resolution. So even if you're going with the lesser expensive cameras like that, try to look at some of the specs and make sure that it's at least 1080. Sly says, that's so cool. Uncle G needs one of those. Save my knuckles. Absolutely, right? And you're able to see so much. So, so many different use cases, especially when it comes to automotive. Like, let's say you dropped a screw or a nut somewhere and you can't see it. You have the ability of putting something on there to see, have an eye on the prize, so to speak. Says, I think we need a link. I think this is the camera. Okay, well, that's cool that you put it on there. Appreciate you, Paul. Okay, let me see. She's saying, which one did I get? Let me pull up my... my Amazonia. Let me get this over here. My orders. Okay. This is the one that I got. Nindage. Nidage? Nidage. I think that's how you would say it. Copy that. And come over here. It didn't copy? It didn't copy from Amazon. Come on. There we go. The one that I just put in chat is exactly the one that I got. It comes with these little accessories. One of them is a magnet. So in case you like drop that nut, you're able to find it and then magnetize it and pick it up. The other one is a hook for like keys or maybe a ring, kind of like on the drain. And then the other one is kind of like a periscope. So even though you're seeing the image from the camera facing like so, it's a mirror directed at an angle, and at the angle it gives you kind of like that periscope. So like once you find something, you'll be seeing like a 90-degree angle of the camera. Pretty interesting. All right, let's go back here. I'm kind of lost in Amazon. And you see, that's the power of these computers. I'm able to pull the links, and that's why I said if you guys had any questions, don't hesitate. Let me know, because I could always pull up the information. I'd rather take the time to double check it than to just give you misinformation. Randy's saying, good night, everyone. Getting me a pizza. Happy Father's Day, everyone. Happy Father's Day to everyone once again. And thanks for hanging out, Randy. Enjoy your pizza, but you got me thinking of pizza now, even though I don't know what I'm going to get because I haven't eaten yet. So I'll be figuring out something within the next few minutes to see where I go. See, Slice did the same thing. Hey, Neto. What language is that exactly? You say boa note or noit. Mosoro. Maybe I said that correctly. Let me know on a scale from 1 to 10 how I did. And also let me know what language I was attempting to speak there. He's saying good night as well. Hey, Robert's in the house saying happy Father's Day. Thank you, sir. Okay, and I dropped the link. Okay, so you didn't have to, but thank you, Paul. He's saying he's letting me know what he did with the links. So you see, you got the same one, but that one was like the best one that caught my eye. But like I said, it was mostly to talk about like all the little things, right, that I'm finding on Amazon, which is cool. So I'm just gonna be adding those links to the videos that I do there. But it's just so much stuff. So it says Portuguese. Oh, so Paul did all the sleuthing. Thanks, Paul. That's why he was like Marina says it's Portuguese. Okay, so yes. Now I'm just waiting to see what was my score, right? How bad I did, on the Portuguese. How bad did I butcher that? But you guys, thank you as always. You guys, as you can see, you guys cheer me up and give me that extra energy that I need. So I thank you guys always, week in and week out. This is my favorite place to be, and I can't help to just thank you all for making it that and hanging out here with me on a weekly basis. You guys make all of this super worth it. The Camera Junkie crew, you guys are the best. But with that being said, I want to wish all the people that are celebrating Father's Day tomorrow to have an amazing holiday, to enjoy the time with the family or whatever it is that you're doing to celebrate. I wish you the best day tomorrow. To me, every day is Father's Day with this little man, where I get to hear him laugh, make him smile, play with him, and enjoy his company. Um, I'm very grateful that I have the ability to do that, and I don't take that lightly. So, you guys, guess what? We'll be doing this all over again next week. Oh, that hit right there with the music. Yes, we're doing it all over again next week, same time, same place, right here on the Camera Junkie channel, 10 p.m. Standard Eastern Time every Saturday night. And I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces right here when we do it all over again. We did it successfully, episode 133. And next week, we'll be right here to do episode number 134 as we continue this train rolling. And there's no stopping on the Camera Junkie live stream. On our way to, God knows, 500 live streams, because I don't see an end in sight. And with that said, everyone, have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you next time. Talk to you.